Well, welcome everybody. We are on a mission here. We are on a mission from Bob, right?
Right.
We have right here Gary Hughes, the famous Gary Hughes, and the famous model man Tom.
Hey everybody.
Two of the best model makers I know, and really gifted artists, and nice friends too. And they have dedicated their time, along with me, to build this wonderful TWA Moonliner for Bob Burns. So that's where we're on a mission from Bob. Actually, it's from Bob, just like the Blues Brothers, remember? We're on a mission from God, man.
And how did this come about?
This came about, okay. This came about because I was talking to Bob, and Bob saw pictures of my TWA Moonliner. And he said, well, you know, I always wanted one of those, and I was supposed to get one, and some guy came into my house and took measurements off of Robbie the Robot head or something like that, and in exchange he was going to give me a kit. But I never got it, and I don't remember who his name is. And I thought to myself, well, I know who the guy is that makes the kits, because I have one, and it's Scott Alexander. So I sent him an email, and I said, Scott, some guy came over to this place and was going to give him one of these kits in exchange for something he did for this individual. And he wrote me back, he said, that would be me. You could tell, even in the tenor of his email, that he had forgot. And he was like, that was me. So I said, oh, okay, well, could we get a kit? And he, of course, graciously said, yes, I'll put a kit together and send it to you for Bob. I'm sorry I forgot about it. And that's how this all began. Then I knew what would happen with the kit. It would end up in Bob's model kit collection, and it wouldn't get built for a long time, if ever. So I said, we got to get this built for him. And Gary agreed, and Tom agreed. So we're going to build this in 2 days. That's what we're going to try to do. And we'll probably succeed, and take it down to Bob's. And you're going to get to see the whole thing happen right here. You're going to get to see us build it, and cuss, and swear, and sand, and spill stuff. And at the end will be this beautiful rocket that, for me, just like Bob, was one of these things. I was like 6 years old when I saw it. My dad took me to Disneyland in the 50s, and I stood at it and went, and it changed my life. And that's why I'm standing here between these two gentlemen right now, and all this other stuff that you know I do. It affected me that deeply, and it did for Bob too, and this is something he's always wanted, and I understand it because it was a life changer. There's just, you know, God loves rockets, doesn't he?
He does.
He does. And spaceships that go to space and capture our imaginations and joy and wonder and keep us kids. So we're going to do this for him. Now, I met Bob Burns first time, I think it was 1975 at Equicon. The Equicons were put on by B. Joe Trimble. They were the first Star Trek conventions, the true Star Trek conventions, which were put on by fans, for fans, and I could go on a very long length about what that was like, but they were wonderful. Nothing like they are today. In the costume contest, I had built a gorilla suit, and it was my first gorilla suit, and I was on stage with my friend David Ayers, who'd also built a suit. We were both working at Don Post Studios. We met, we loved makeup and Dick Smith and all this stuff, but we loved gorillas, so we both built suits. So we both come out on stage together, and we're knuckle walking around and acting silly, and all of a sudden, out of the audience jumps this enormous gorilla that everybody knew on site, and it was Tracy, and it was Bob, and he was in the Tracy one, not the Kogar one. So
With a beanie?
Yeah, the beanie on. And he got up on stage, and he went into the grooming us thing. And then so afterwards, we got the suits and everything. We met, and we went and had dinner, and that's how I met Bob Burns. Can you think of a better way to meet Bob Burns than in a gorilla suit, to a gorilla suit?
In his natural environment.
Yep, that's right.
Absolutely.
We have been friends ever since. And back in the 80s, we started to do the Mac Tonight campaign for McDonald's, and so my studio, we sculpted the moon character, molded it, did all the mechanics, make it move and everything. And of course it was worn by Doug Jones, who was another friend. And we needed people to puppeteer it. Now, in those days, I don't know how it is now, but if you're a SAG and you're puppeteering, that's on camera. It's on camera. So you get residuals. My late wife Jillian, she was going to control the brow movement. I was going to control the smile. We needed someone to operate the mouth. We both looked at each other and said, because Jillian knew Bob before I did, said, "Hey, Bob SAG, he's not working right now. Maybe he'd want to do it." And that's how that all began. And so we worked for years with Bob, puppeteering that character. And a lot of the money that was made from that character actually helped to start the museum that a lot of you have been to and seen. So I'm very proud to have been part of that genesis, I guess you could call it, right? So that's some of the history I have with Bob and how we got to this point. So, can we do this in 2 days? What do you think?
I think we should give it a shot, man.
Yeah, I do. I mean, we got a lot of parts here. Let's see, how many we got? 1, 2, this is really kind of one.
Second screen.
Yeah, this is already done. This doesn't come this way. We would have had to have done this, and Scott, you can tell, I had this for a while. But
did it come with the spider webs? Or
the spider webs are extra, yeah. And so that's very handy because I had to do mine myself, and it was not easy. There's not a lot of parts here. What is there, 13 parts maybe? Well, there's these little ones. Yeah, it's not much.
But all pretty big.
And
basic.
That comes out there, and this goes, is there a notch in it somewhere that tells?
But there is a specific finish.
Yeah, well, luckily we have mine to go by.
And you have some reference.
Now, we do have a really nasty overlap there, which in
180 degrees may help.
that's what I'm thinking, is that it actually,
It's got a better fit than it does.
that's probably how we know it's it's lined up right.
Portholes line up, top and bottom, maybe?
I don't know. Well, no, I don't think they do. If they did, it would be, well, they might. Yeah, I think they do.
That's how you
It's still got, yeah, it's still got it though. Well, you know how we can fix that, right?
Good old Dremel and sandpaper.
Yeah. So I would imagine that's probably the first thing we need to do is to get this to fit good. Drill out. So you want to drill out the portholes?
Well, Tom was talking about that, and you guys both made a good point. Because the body is so thick, if we put something in there, I was thinking from the inside, it would be so far in that it might not be the effect that you're after.
sell.
Yeah,
No.
and the alternative would be to put something in there, and we've got quite a few, and because, as you mentioned, we are limited to 2 days. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
well,
the direction we wanna go. I think we need to light it
I
as
mean,
much as
I mean, we
but-
could take a piece of brass, the same diameter as that, and we could do the old make it sharpen it on one end and tap it and punch out.
drill a pilot hole and then tap it out.
Yeah,
Is that
tap
what
it
you're
out.
saying?
We could. And there's
Or
not.
Dremel it out after.
I
it's
mean, how
been
many
drilled.
are here? 1, 2, 3, 4,
20 maybe.
5, 6. There's probably 6 here too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not that many. Well, that's a possibility. I mean, it is. And of course, the other thing we can do too, which looks great, is just make them black, which is how the real one was. And we put a little drop of epoxy, a clear epoxy in there. It'll make them shine a bit. Because I think they did have glass in the real thing, didn't they?
Yeah,
have reference?
if you had drilled these out, and I'm just thinking out loud here, and if you took epoxy, is that too big an opening if you backed it with a 3x5?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
To pour the windows, is that too large an opening to make that work? Or
We could also do it with clear dental acrylic, although it's not really clear. But if we use 5-minute epoxy, put tape over this,
But
and
if
just
it's
drop
lit
the
up-
drop in there and then take it off, that might work.
yeah, and it wouldn't
it'd
have
be
to be
so-
crystal clear.
No.
If it were lit anyway.
Yeah, well, you
And
just
when
see
they're
the
off,
wires.
If it were black in the inside, you wouldn't be able to.
And we'll
tell.
use strip lighting, and that'll light it up. Run one strip inside, and make sure it's light enough inside. Should bounce pretty well. Then we got to light up the engines too, because that's one of the things Bob, when he saw the pictures of mine, he says, "Oh God, that I'm imitating him. I can't help it." We won't talk about Petunia. Anyway, that's going to make him laugh. I'll tell you the inside joke later,
Okay.
but not you people. So there is a hole in there, so we can get the lighting in there. And he said that he really liked the way I had the fiber fill, and it looked like So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And of course, we're going to put lights in here to light it up, and hopefully they'll be brighter than mine are because they didn't work quite well. Well, I don't know. You got any other questions? Because it's a pretty straightforward build.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of cleaning and
Some test fitting to make sure
Yep.
the three legs are positioned so that it sits level on the base, little things like that.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start sanding.
okay.
yeah,
And
I
fitting.
want to divvy this up then.
Well, what part would you like?
I don't know.
Go ahead, grab a part.
Start cleaning these or just.
Okay,
leave
you
it
can do
or-
those. Okay, you'll take that one, I'll take this one. Okay. Although you might want to do the fitting on that, so that just leaves these to be separated and cleaned
I'll
and
get
stuff.
that when I do
Maybe
these.
test fit
Well, I
the
could do that.
fuselage first and get that.
Yeah,
really close.
let's work on that. So, anyway, we're going to get that started, and we're going to give Mary a break. That was
Little cleanup work, basically. Some heavy sanding, some light sanding, back of the X-Acto blade to get rid of some of the rough casting lines, and we'll see how it goes from there.
where's it going to go? Can I follow it? Okay.
Gary. Hi.
Hi, how you doing, Mary? I am pretty much mimicking the same thing that Tom is working on. We're getting some of the seam lines out now and getting it smooth enough so we can get a read on how it's going to look. I'll probably have to go back a little putty in some of the lower areas, but so far this is coming together fairly quickly. It's a pretty good casting. So.
I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm hoping these guys would tell me.
That's Evercoat. I smell Evercoat.
Ah, yes. Stuff that dreams are made out of. I'm going to mix up a little Evercoat here because I like mixing it up. We also could use it on this in a few places. I know you're watching, Scott, so I'm trying to be kind. After all, we all know it's a garage kit. And we know what garage kits can be like. Pretty much all the same, sort of. I'm going to mix up some of this stuff. I like to use, instead of their supplied cream hardener, I like to use Bondo's instead because it's red and I can tell how much I've got in it, whereas with theirs, which is white, I can't tell if it's got enough in there or not, and I've mixed it up and it not set off. So now I got that nice pink color, I know it's going to work. Right, guys?
What you said.
Okay, so we got some troubled areas here that I want to fix, like that
You know,
there.
spotting some of those areas down
Yeah.
there. Yeah, mine's. Which is the one that has the
Okay.
flat section on it?
Bob, you sure I can't tell a joke about Petunia?
That's the middle, that's the end. So it goes.
I'm going to tell them, but off camera.
Like, oh, I'm looking.
No.
Oh, I see.
Goes on
So
that.
that does have to
So
be
it's-
flat, so it
Yeah.
slides over that little. Okay. Do you is it coming back to you now?
It fits perfectly flat right now, pretty much on this side. You check it first. Look down there, and
Yeah, it's right. You do want those all the way flat like you were doing it. That was my question.
Okay.
So, okay. Give that back to you. Have
yes,
this back.
yes. Now this stuff's starting to set up, which is wonderful. I really love it. Oh, that's your. I don't want to touch your X-Acto blade because you know what happens to the X-Acto blades that are nice and clean like yours? They end up like mine. In fact, you can't even find mine, and I got two of
I
them.
got it here.
Oh, can I have that for a second? This is what happens to them.
So you're gonna ruin Tom's then, right?
No, this is mine.
Oh, okay.
I ruined mine already. So what's really wonderful about this stuff is it's at this stage here. You can just sort of slice it. And like for here,
Well, it
okay.
hasn't completely set up then.
You ever worked with Evercoat before?
Yeah, but I usually just put it on, let it get dry completely.
No, you want to work with it in its various stages.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Incarnate and all that. You haven't done a mummy yet. Mummy model.
Mummy, not in a long time.
A Karloff mummy model.
No, I did the old Horizon.
There we go. Okay, it broke loose. So now we just leave it and then we sand it.
And you're filling in the pinholes and maintaining that.
The contour at the
right,
same
so you
time.
can glue it later.
You see how you can just slice it off like that? And like all the stuff on the inside here, Gary, see?
Very slick.
Then you don't have to sand it as much and over sand it and have problems as a result. Now, this opening is not exactly regular. And I have a feeling on mine it is, so I'm gonna have to check that because I think what I need to do is, it's something undisclosed happened to this.
Could we bring your model out here so we can actually see it as reference?
You know, I thought about that, but yeah, we can do that.
Oh man, I gotta write that
All
one
right.
down.
Let's go get the
I
model.
thought about that.
It can go. It can go on the Batmobile table, I guess, because
just
nothing's going to
very
happen
comfortable
to this
visual.
beautiful thing. I'm going to have to buy a real one. I'm just going to figure a way out. It's a bucket list thing. Okay, it was whose idea was it? Yours, Tom? To bring them all out.
Yeah.
It was Tom's idea. So if it gets broken, you know who's going to pay for it. No, I'm just kidding. We brought it out here so we have reference. And what's interesting about it is if I look at the real ship that was at Disneyland, not Star Wars Land, Disneyland. Sorry, Tom. And it didn't have this pointed of a tip. This is more like the real thing, and it's interesting because I remember Scott was saying something about, you should have just told me, I would have sent you this, you know. I turned that on the lathe and stuck it up there. And but I based it on looking at the actual pictures. He's got it, I like it sharper. It's cool. And you know how it is with models, it's like,
Well, it looks more like a retro style rocket.
yeah, well we love retro style rockets. Don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Well, we know you do, because you're kind of well, you not kind of, you are the rocket guy, the rocketeer, the rocket man. If it has rocket in it, he's interested. Okay, I'm making a cockpit over here, Mary, for Bob's rocket. You can't fly a rocket or imagine being inside of it, as we did when we were kids, without there being a cockpit. And I always wondered, whenever I'd look up at the big one at Disney, I wonder if they put a cockpit in there. I mean, I knew it wasn't a real rocket, but we didn't go there. You know, it just didn't go there because, of course, it's real in the mind. And so that's why I'm doing this. And it's going to take us a little longer doing this, but mine's all lit up and it's got lights inside and little seats and stuff. So I'm doing it out of styrene here, which is a modeler's best friend, right, Tom?
Oh, yeah. Next to LEDs.
Yeah, and glue. I especially like the glue.
Yeah, it is a bit whiffy in here. Huh?
What?
Especially with lacquer fumes.
What? Well, now you know why modelers really like to build models, to get high, right? Now, I'm sure that joke's been going around for a long time. Yep. So bit by bit, I'm doing construction of a little cockpit, which eventually will end up inside of here. So I hope, and I'm eyeballing it, so I'm hoping it's fitting rather well. So, in fact, this fits perfectly. And that'll go in there, and I'm going to light it up. Now, I need to have some panels down the side, and they get lit, and we're going to put not LEDs, fiber optics in it, and then run them off into a single strip, which should light them up. And I'm going to tint the ends of them. So I need to do this here. So more of the illustrious cockpit is being formed and made, and this is the hood with the instrument panel, which fits rather nicely right in there, like that. Isn't that wonderful? So when this is on, you can actually see the hood underneath there. As they call it, the instrument panel hood, the glare shield, whatever you want to call it. So now we're going to drill pre-drill some holes in it, because I'm thinking ahead, for a few fiber optics, which I'm also going to stick in ahead of time. Well, no, I'm going to wait till I paint it first. What should our cockpit interior be? Gray? Gray works. How about primer gray? We got a lot of that.
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah, it's pretty standard, isn't it? Well, flat black is...
Scoot in front here. Green, isn't there a cockpit?
Yeah, but not this.
You don't want a military look to it.
Well, no, this is civilian ship. So, hopefully I won't drill into my belly. Okay, so I got this one now.
So you don't have your sanding table anymore, right? No?
No, we don't.
That's a sore point, actually, and you shouldn't have mentioned it.
Sanding table. What, written on oils? That's from Monty Python, too. Okay. It's the glue, the fumes, the paint, and the funny men I'm working with that causes all this silliness to happen. Okay, I can see everything I've done wrong. Isn't that always the way?
What's that?
You put something together and you say, I can see everything I've done wrong, and now I have to do it again.
Yep.
Tom knows all this because he's been building a Jupiter 2 for how long now? Since I met you.
Oh, yeah, good 6-7 years.
Was that the lighted one?
It's...
Super lit up.
Where is it right now?
It's sitting on a shelf collecting dust.
Okay.
And the last time I checked, it seems that a few of the chips have died.
The chips have died?
Oh, the control the blinking?
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. That reminds me. Do you guys...
Big hassle.
I'd have to pull all the boards off, check each one for the chip to see which one is bad, because I don't know out of the 5 boards I'm using.
You guys know Ralph? Antenna controls?
Yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to do... Oh, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about antenna controls and Ralph. When you call antenna controls because you're having a problem, do you know who answers the phone? Ralph himself, the guy who actually makes the boards. Yes, and he will talk you through anything. And he assumes that you're dumb right away, so... And he's very nice about it.
Sounds like my kind of text.
Yeah, you betcha. No, he's great. And I'm supposed to do a testimonial for him for his website because, okay, I had a board remember the Reliant I built for that guy? Mm-hmm. For
In China, right?
For Al. No, the Reliant I built for Al when I was in the Northridge house. I had just met Mary. It was a pain in the butt. The Rathacon Reliant.
Yeah, you didn't have fun with that.
No. He brought it by recently. The board had died on it. The model was beautiful. I mean, I don't think I've ever built a Starfleet model that was that good. I couldn't even believe I built it. Because when I build something for somebody else, I'm really worried. So I go all out. Sure. Unlike we're doing on Bob's model. No, just kidding. If I was building it for Petunia, it'd be different. So I'm looking at it, I'm going, God, I'm going to have to rip this thing apart, and I'm doing Jack Benny. I'm going to have to rip this thing apart, and then I remembered. I looked under the base, I peeled off the styrene, and what was in the base? The board! Both of them. In fact, 3 of them. I was able to take it out. So I got a board from Ralph to replace it. And the board I had in it was about this big. I get this board from him, and it's about that big. And if you hook it up backwards, it doesn't burn out because it's got a protector in it. Yeah, imagine that.
It's amazing
Yeah,
how technology comes along.
I know. So this was stupid proof, and it's good for me. And so the thing just works flawlessly. It was $39, and it just works great. So he asked me to do a testimonial for him, and I think that we should do that. Or maybe I should just cut this. Okay, I'm just laughing here because, I beat myself up a lot about doing things like I'm doing now. Oh, you're going to make a cockpit? How? I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, sure, right. You're going to eyeball it. It's going to fix in here, and it's going to fit just perfect and not have any problems. And there you go. That's crazy. It just fits so nice.
Excellent.
And so those are little panels where there'll be some more lights on them. As soon as that dries, I will affect that. Now I'm going to drill some holes in there for LEDs. Now this will drop in about here. Right there. I'm going to have to adjust that just a little bit, but not much. All I have to do is cut that down just a wee bit. Maybe not even. And that'll go like that. And we've got a cockpit in there. Fizzbin!
Is that a Frisbee?
That's from Star Trek, remember?
Yeah.
For a Star Wars guy, you sure remember a lot about Star Trek. You probably get that joke all the time.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm a Star Wars guy or a Star Trek guy anymore.
Well, you like space films that are good.
Yeah.
I mean, can we leave it at that? Can't we just get along? Sorry, Rodney.
Battlestar.
Yeah, Battlestar is really wonderful. Now, we've all seen the remake with James Edward Olmos, right?
Yeah. I've seen some. My wife.
No, some doesn't cut it. You have to see the whole thing from beginning to end because it's like one big long movie. And I didn't understand that because I saw some of it and I went, ew.
Yeah, I watched it in fits and starts.
And I didn't like it at all. And so Doug Drexler comes along and he says, "So Steve, you have seen Battlestar, right?" And I was like, yeah, I saw some parts of it, and I didn't like the shaky camera work, all that handheld stuff. He looked at me with this blank look and said, "You got to see it." I said, "Why?" "Because it's made for you." I said, "What do you mean it's made for me? I hated that old. That's nothing like the old show. In fact, Steve, I would never tell anyone this, but you, it was better than Star Trek." I froze motionless for about 5 minutes. I didn't know what to say. And I said, okay. So Uncle Ted gave me all the seasons he had, the whole thing. And I just binge watched the whole thing. And he's right. It was better than Star Wars. Star Trek. Sorry. You know what I mean.
Well, that's something coming from Doug Drexler.
Yeah, no kidding.
Star Wars guy. I mean, Star Trek.
No, well, Doug doesn't like Star Wars at all. He has a very strong opinion about that. Yeah. He has his reasons.
It
And
just depends on whether who watches it.
Everybody thinks I must be a huge Star Wars fan because of my car, and I'm like, no.
You just like the car and some of the.
Well, the car has helped me figure out what I like and what I don't like about it. And all the new movies they're throwing up all over us. It's like,
Paul is my good friend and a very talented artist, and you should see his illustrations. You showed me those illustrations of that dinosaur, and you never showed me any illustrations you did like that before.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
Stuff from Wizard Dreams.
Yeah, I know, but it was really good.
Thank you.
Anyway, he's very talented, and he brought me over a scrap of L200, which I actually need. If you don't know what L200 is, I can't help you. And, God, why won't this fit? Because I'm eyeballing the whole thing, and it just doesn't want to cooperate with me. It wants to go the way it wants to go. It's really hard to do because I can't glue these pieces in yet so they fit right. Friend, we love Lou Del Maso, and he really builds really great models, and he always says to me when I compliment him on his models, he's like, so he's surprised that I think they're that good. They are. So anyway, I think, Gary thinks.
I agree.
And if Gary thinks, well.
I think when I have.
Yeah. I get a lot of my humor from Jonathan Winters. He does things like that. Like when he was on the Johnny Carson show the other night, watching an old one, rerun, he came in dressed as an officer in the Civil War. With no apparent reason. He hadn't been in a movie recently. And he'll just come on a show, dressed as Schwarzkopf and walk up to a map and say, "We're over here," and the whole place cracks up. There's just something about that kind of humor that I just really like. Okay, you know, he never swears, or you really don't need to. Okay, so now that I've completely screwed this up, I'm going to fix it. It's just like what Tom was talking about earlier. What did you say, Tom? You said something about
measure once, fix it until. No, wait. How did I used to say that?
It was good.
Fix it until it's right.
Until it's right, yeah.
That's
Cut until
exactly.
it's right.
Now I had it perfect,
Measure once, cut until it fits.
and then I messed up. So there's some discrepancies here in the straightness in the or the something. I don't know. It's like I think this one's from one mold and this one's from another mold, because I know he had more than one mold. He'll probably correct me, say no, I only ever had one mold, but these parts fit really good on one side and stepped on the other side, and you can see where it was. One was there and one was here, and the tape's there to offset it. And as soon as this gets a little harder, I'm going to sand it, and that should take care of our gap issue. The rest of this is pretty much ready to go to primer and stuff. You can see we've got our lovely cockpit in there, and that'll look really cool once this is on and all blended in. And I'm going to put some lights in there, but first we got to primer everything, and then I can pop this out and put in the fiber optics and all that stuff. And the boys have decided that they want to take the time and drill out the portholes. It's really something that's bothering them, I can tell. So we're going to drill those out. And Gary said he would drill them out because he could do it nice and straight. He probably has more patience than I have. So we'll do that, and then we'll put some tape behind it. And this was Gary's idea. We'll put tape behind it, and we'll take 5-minute epoxy, and we'll drop it in there and let it set up. You can probably do a couple of them at a time, and because you got to keep them level, and then pull the tape off, and you got a nice clear window in there, which is pretty cool. It should work, right?
In theory, yes.
Yeah, well, it's all in theory. It's all of it's never been done before until now. So other than that, we're making messes. And what do you got going here? You got these going?
To the landing legs, ready for another blast of primer.
Yeah, so they're getting all preened up, and Tom's got the base outside, and then he's been working on this part of the base, and we're scooting along pretty well. Yeah, we should have this all painted and lit up in about another couple hours, so we'll come back and take a look. Petunia, my dreams, I'm filling your seams. Ooh. Petunia, my dreams, I'm filling your seams. There we go. No, we are, besides dripping snot on your model, Bob, we are filling all kinds of errors in this old hole. So, but it's coming out really good. I like things to be perfect if they can be. I mean, you look at mine over there, you can't even see the join. Now, this is not joined permanently right now. It's just temporary, getting this as clean as we can, and then we're going to primer everything, because I need this to be open to get to the lighting. This pulls out, completely removes, so I can go and put the fiber optics in it and everything and light it up. And this is Gary's fault. He had me draw out one of these, and now I'm going to make him draw all the rest of them, because we're going to put that epoxy in there and have real windows in there. So, which you'll be able to see lights and things in there. You can project yourself in there, as I do quite often, and imagine that I'm inside that rocket. Okay, so we're doing that. And what are you doing, Gary?
I am putting some finishing touches on the landing legs. We're still trying to get some of the flaws and air bubbles out of the front here.
Yes, it's a garage kit.
Yeah.
And garage kits, Bubbles is their name, or claim to fame, or something like that. So we got a pretty good match here now to the two halves. Which I think is really nice. Smooth as a baby's bum. Okay.
You're gonna use it clean
Hell no. Here we go again, Gary.
Almost as good, but not quite the same thing.
I gotta. Oh, yeah, because it is not. I want to make it an even thickness.
Around the base.
Yeah, it just really bothers me that it's not. So, and it's because it got sanded out by somebody that was being very aggressive with the hole. We've had this before. Hey, so we've been at it all day, slaving over a hot rocket, and it's done. Gary, I think we did a magnificent job.
I'm really impressed.
It really, well, you
together.
know, hey, you know, that's it. No.
I heard you were fast, but this
Yeah.
beats everything.
So we decided to build another one just for me. No, but this is the one for Bob Burns, and I think for a day's work, it's pretty impressive because everything's primered except the little seats.
And the cockpit.
But the cockpit's primered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, it's all primered
Oh,
and ready for lighting tomorrow. And so basically, what we're gonna do in the morning is we're going to do lighting. I'm gonna do lighting. I'm gonna hook up the lights and get that all done. And so this all lights up and run the cables through to light up the engine. Then we can join these two halves. And once those two halves are joined, and we've checked to make sure that all the electrical is working correctly, we can disconnect it and then paint the entire fuselage, the rocket itself, white. And paint these white. And paint the other parts the colors are supposed to be. There may be some touch-up we still have to do with a few little scratches and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. And yeah, but because we're using a lacquer paint, it should dry fast enough that we'll be able to do put the decals on in the red scheme. All this here, which wasn't that difficult to do. It took me a couple tries and I finally got it right. But it should be fine. Just as long as the paint's really dry, we should be fine to almost entirely finish this model tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow. But since you're watching this video now and it's just one long video, well, we'll be back tomorrow, either way.
Part 2.
Thank you guys. You guys have been, I think we make a great team, and we know Bob's going to love this. So see you tomorrow.
See ya. Where's my paycheck?
Yeah. Hi, boys and girls. We're back. No, we are back day 2 with much rest and food in our stomachs, and I am blooming. Fiber optics and stringing them into this wonderful cockpit I made, and it'll become apparent to you why I'm doing that. Am I wearing the right glasses, or am I just getting worse? Let's see. Thread it in there. Eventually the hot glue gun will get warm enough where I can tack these in place from the back side. The reason I use hot glue is because this material, when it comes in contact with CA, and especially kicker, just kind of breaks up and snaps off. The idea here is, and the reason I'm using this is I'm blooming the end of it so that it makes this little bead on the end, which keeps it in place, but also looks like a rather large button at this scale, but it still looks cool. That's the bloomed end. Gonna feed that through. And what are the boys doing? Mary, what's over there? They're awfully quiet, so it can't be good.
Oh, hello, America. Actually, what we're doing is some final, what's known in S&G parlance as PSP, preliminary surface preparation. We're taking some of the glazing putty and Evercoat and kind of preening up the pieces before we get ready to put the final coat of primer on them. So, big fun.
Yeah, it's the thing that takes the most time, and then once it's all smooth and nice, we can, you know. And so here's what's going to happen with our lighting. I've got a few of these in. They're not glued in place yet. But you see, now we have nice little buttons that will be able to be seen glowing, and they'll be tinted different colors. And what I'm waiting for now is this hot glue gun to get warm enough I can tack these in place. So in the meantime, I'm going to keep doing this and until I have all those in place, and then I'm going to fix them off with the hot glue, tint them, hook up a lighting system to them, and then we can put this back in the ship and drop the this in place, secure it down, light up the engines, and then close the two halves completely so that we can then blend the seams and then paint it all white, which is inching us closer to being done. So that's what we got going, and we're going to do a little bit more work. We don't want to bore you to death by showing endless sanding and threading of fiber optics. You get the idea, and when we come back in a little while, you'll get to see some of this stuff finished off and lit up, looking really cool. Lighting is my favorite part.
Hey.
Tom, what are you doing?
You rolling?
Yeah, what are you doing? I'm confused. You got
You
something
rolling?
there?
Oh, you are rolling.
No, you rolled earlier.
So that
Oh,
green
wow.
LED is
Yeah.
still a little too bright, I think.
Yeah, it is. Isn't that funny? You made it.
10K.
Yeah.
So what this is here is this is the cockpit that Steve threw together. He did all the hot glue and the fiber optics, and then I'm just coming along and setting up the LEDs. So
these aren't lit back here for some reason.
that's the angle
Oh,
of the
angle,
LED.
the angle. Okay.
So he tinted all the various fibers in there, so it just takes one light to get all the different colors going on. Because there's so much fiber for this little 3mm LED, I have to use a big tube, and because there's a big tube, you can aim the light anywhere, and that will set different brightnesses at each button.
So you need to center
So
it.
you got to center it just right.
Yeah, it just wraps them.
And then relative to those buttons, we have this big green LED in the middle there, which is
the
probably
radar.
still too bright at 10,000 ohm resistor on that one. I mean, it could be good enough.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, okay.
It'll give a nice green glow on the inside.
So yeah, other than that, it's a lot of hot glue to keep this all together, and I'll do a little more hot glue to get that in place, and then wiring it all up.
And then we got to
Oh.
stick it in here.
And we got this guy here, the engines.
Oh yeah.
So
It's
there's
the
a
engine
cluster
cluster.
of 5 LEDs in here that basically I just wired all the negatives together and wired that to the lead out, and then I resistored each LED, wired all those together to the power out, and what we have when we plug this in is, and you can pause a second or cut in the edit.
I never pause.
Yeah, and then there's that fuzzy stuff over there, and if you put the fuzzy stuff on it, oh,
I would just touch.
yeah, that's all right. Just stuff it in there.
Wow.
And in the dark, it'll make that glow all the way down. We could even actually put some down in that fuzz itself, but
Right.
we won't have that. The engines are just starting, it diffuses them. That's nice, right, like that. Yeah, that's a nice effect. So
Yeah, and then Steve just cut a little styrene thing to mount all this in. Again, hot glue, and
fancy,
that's it.
fancy.
That's
So-
it for this.
Yeah. Next, we got to put that cockpit into here before we can close the two halves up and run the wiring through. And we have to blend the two halves together, and then primer that. It sits till tomorrow. Then we can put the white paint on it and start doing the decals and all that stuff. And that's kind of where we're at. Cool stuff, huh? So here we are. It's getting really late. I want to go home and have some dinner and stuff, but we haven't closed the two halves together yet because we ran into so much body filling correction details, and Tom's been working on that, and I'm still mic'd, huh? Okay, so so now I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so punchy, but the scissors just appeared again. Thank you. They're such good scissors too.
Laser on it?
They did.
Oh, an LED.
Yeah, if it even bothers you, you can just laser them. Oh, come on, I'm good at this. All right, so now I need to use your power over there and make sure that things are lit up before I solder them. Correct, so you said red is black?
Yep.
We'll find out here. Yep.
Black is
Good.
white.
All systems go.
Okay, so we got double light. There'll be some light to light up the interior because we don't want to blind the occupants inside. So that means I can go ahead and solder that off. But I need the rosin. Where'd the rosin go? And I need a stick. Oh no, that I can't solder it without putting rosin on there. It'll never hold.
Oh, I don't see anything here.
There's,
This is the paste over there?
Oh, I see.
yeah. I always use this stuff because otherwise I can't ever get anything to stick.
It's middle shelf, maybe?
I remember George seeing me doing this, and George said, You use hot glue for insulation? I never thought of that. Well, it's handy. Okay, so let that, I don't like waiting for things to get cool, so
Hand that over here.
done. So double check, and then this is our main power feed. Make sure that's working still. We have liftoff. Okay, so now we know that this will go to the cockpit, and hot glue stick. Thank you. And I'm just going to sort of tack this in position so it's not moving all around on me. Okay, outstanding, and it's mild. So this one will just kind of dangle. So this one's going to come out the end for our engines. You see what I'm up to? So we're not waiting on anything. I should have thought of this earlier, and I didn't.
You'll be all set for the painting tomorrow. Well, there you go.
Well, I'm not that good, but I'm pretty good. Okay, so we got a lot of loose stuff here, which we can just kind of throw down in there. Werner would be proud. Now we have to remember, how did this go together? And so we need to do a check. I believe it was these three went here. And then we have to be lined up with this. Now, we need to put it in that, where's that stand that I had? This is the best way to tell and line this up, is by looking down it. No way, I couldn't have got it perfect the first time. Gary, is it perfect the first time?
It's pretty close.
Let's really look down it.
Yeah, look at it lined up with that landing leg.
That's what I'm doing. It looks absolutely.
Yeah.
Really, is it? Check it. Really check it. Look again. It looks straight.
These are lined. The cockpit canopy is aligned with this and aligned with this.
So it's straight.
And these two here are aligned. So you look good to me, man.
Okay, it's a good fit too.
Okay.
I need.
You got the zip kicker?
No, I don't want to. I want to put a thingy bingy on this. There's a fresh one of these upstairs with a thingy bingy. You know, the little. We have the thingy bingy, not to be confused with the thingy dingy. It's the thingy bingy from Beringy. And at that, aren't I good at that? I do have wire strippers, but it's so much more fun to do it with scissors. And people say, "Don't you have some wire strippers?" No, I'm so cool I can do it that way. Why would I, you know? So where's the engines? Oh no, wait a minute. I don't need the engines. I know the engines work. That's not a problem. This is our power right here, right? So black, red. Ouch. Nothing's lit up. Why is that?
Are you loose at the power supply again?
That's good.
Well, here we are back on day 3 of our 2-day build. Model Man Tom is not with us today because he has to prepare for a convention. He's very active in cosplay and stuff and does amazing things. But we really appreciate the time he spent here with us. We could not have gotten this far if not. We ran into a lot of issues that caused a third day that had to do with the condition of the hull and getting it to blend right, and just it really slowed us down. Building the actual model is pretty easy, but and we could have slammed it together really quick, but we would have had a seam there and a bit off center, and so we had to do a lot of preening, or what did you call it, Gary?
PSP in SNG parlance, preliminary surface preparation.
Okay, so that's not like post-traumatic stress syndrome after building models.
But it felt like it when we finished.
Yeah, I know. In the immortal tradition of the wonderful human being, Dick Smith. We show you how we do everything here. And there was so much controversy about what we would do to make the portholes. Now, we talked about putting tape behind it and filling up each one with epoxy and holding it for 5 minutes, times 14. That seemed to be unreasonable.
Yeah, that would be several hours worth of work.
Yeah, it was. And we thought of using googly eyes, you know, the little eyes that made all the rivets for our robot, and get used on a lot of other projects. But the material's so thick, the hull, that to push them in from back looked really great, but they were really sunken in way too far. We needed something else. So I always had it in my mind with mine to take a piece of brass like this, and then you put it on the grinder over here, and you sharpen it. You can see how it's kind of sharp like that.
Like a punch.
Like a punch. And then you got your acetate here on a piece of wood, and you go this way. Stayed there this time. And you get this perfect little shiny window that will fit exactly into this, eventually, like so. And then we put a little glue on it, canopy glue, and we put them in there. So how many does that make now?
I think we've got 8 or 9.
See, we do not keep trade secrets. There are a lot of people in the industry, whether it be modeling or makeup effects, that like to keep trade secrets. This is something Dick Smith never did, and either did John Chambers. When I worked with those guys, they shared everything with me and allowed me to share it with everyone else because they weren't insecure. They felt very solid in who they are, as I do, and it's wonderful to share with people so they can do wonderful things like this too and have wonderful portholes with real windows in their spaceships. Right, Gary?
Right.
So I just thought I'd add that little bit of political commentary. So I've been doing this every so often to ream it out to keep it sharp because it's starting to get dull. And then I'm going to go over here. And that kind of refurbishes its hots. And what movie was that from? Oh, yes, everything you want to know about sex but afraid to ask. I'm going to go to the dungeon and refurbish the tots. So have you kept count? Now, see, sometimes they get stuck in there, so you can put something through and ram it out, but you may put a little tape over the end, as I found, because I was making marks in the acetate.
I believe that's number 10, but I
That's number 10. I think it's 11, but we'll do 5 more. And this is just such a great technique, and I had it in my head to do it with mine, and then another gig, something came in, and I didn't finish that model, and I always planned to do this, and I'm so happy to see it works so well. What is that now? I'm losing count.
I think that's 11.
You don't think I should try 2 at once?
No.
It made a great shooter. I think that. And that's 12. 13.
So 1 or 2 more, maybe a few spares.
That one went on the outside.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, a couple more for shits and giggles. I'm going to try 2. Come on. Ready?
Ready.
Sure. Ah, man, 2 doesn't like to. There, yeah, I got 2.
You did the 2 anyways.
And I got a chunk of wood in there too, which is perfectly round as well. And we're gonna do a couple more just for closure. But this time I'll just do the 1. That one didn't go all the way through. Okay. Go. And now, wow, you see that one
Yeah.
jump up? One more.
Okay.
And now we have all our windows. And I'm sure Elliot Brown's going to love this. Stuck to you.
Yep. Okay.
that's it. Now we have all the windows we need for that, and that's all the time it took to do. So that worked out very well. Here we've got the landing gear supports that are primered, and these will be painted.
Silver? Oh, they're white.
They're actually white, which is odd, but then, and we have just spot puttied one last time. And when you see the spots get smaller and smaller like this, it's because we're nitpicking the tiniest little scratches. These will get lightly sanded in a minute. We'll be primering this again, putting the fan on it to speed up the drying, because we really need to get the white paint on today and the trim and everything to be able to finish this model. Also the base. Where'd the base go?
It's on
The base. We got to drill a little. I got to rig this up for lighting, which shouldn't take too long, and blow off the ants. And leave it there for now. This is our base here, and this is actually was concrete, the real thing. So we need to drill some holes, pop these into the holes, and get this to mount in just so. I should probably put the lights in first, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
delicate piece.
Yeah, it's pretty good. My head doesn't break it though. Up, another ant. It could be Ant-Man. So, okay, so that's where we're at. We're gonna do some more preening and stuff, and then we're gonna paint this white. You can see what it looks like white, and then hopefully we'll be able to speed dry the white, and then be able to start doing the red stuff on it, the decals. And this is our engine cluster, and that of course goes up in here, and that'll be attached to this wire and pushed up in, and then the actual power supply wire will come straight out, straight down and through the fiber fill so you don't see it, to save some time, and through here, and then that'll all go to a 9-volt battery, because I don't think Bob's going to want to plug this into the wall. No, me neither. Okay, so we'll be back after our sponsors, which are Rocket Patrol, aren't they?
I believe they are today.
Yeah, I think they are too. Hello, sports fans. We're getting down to the point here where we can actually paint this white. And I'm sure it'll look very good with all the hubbub. Please stick down. I love Droopy. Kids today, they don't know who Droopy is. They think their doors are coming down or something. So that's down. Okay, so if we can rotate the pod, please, Hal. I'll put on the last one. This was my quick solution to not filling these in, and instead doing that. And they're not consistent, Scott. I think they're all from separate molds or something, but I can fix anything. So I'll just fix it. We'll fix it in post. Every director's favorite expression when things don't go their way. Of course, the effects man just loves it. Now, let's see. Oh, that's nice.
Better, huh?
Oh, yeah. I should do that with the other one, but it'll be good. So now we're going to stick a little of this in there. Just a little bit. Not too much, Steve. Okay. I think you'll agree this goes a lot faster than filling it in with putty, and it makes it really flat and clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once it's painted, it'll look like part of the original way.
Oh yeah, no one will know. And the screws are not visible like they are in mine, which is dumb, because I never did this. Now, of course, this is not going back until next week when I put windows in mine and do things like this right here. Mm-hmm. Now, so what do you think, Gary?
I think it looks great. Well, a huge time saver too.
Yeah, I mean, it took what, 10 minutes maybe.
At the most.
So you gotta love styrene. It is miracle material. So okay. So at this point, I guess this should be primered, or
I think so.
you sure?
Just a short blast. Just give it some tools so it'll stick.
I always
And
take a
it'll-
blast before I take off.
Well, it'll be the same texture when you lay the white down too, because this is smoother than this.
That's true. I love that Jose Jimenez routine. Is that your Jose? Is that your crash element? Oh, I hope not. Yeah. Okay. Well, then we're going to prime it, and that's a fighter plane. That's an F-18 out of Point Magoo right now.
Fairly high altitude.
Nah,
Too bad.
maybe 8,000 feet. Anyway, so we're gonna primer this, but what we're gonna do is, that's interesting, little bumps there. Where do they come from?
Some flaw, something on the styrene maybe.
Or maybe.
600.
Yeah. We're gonna. That got rid of it. They'll probably hold it.
You get to hit all three of them.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea.
Make the primer stick better too.
Yeah. This one's kind of overhang a little bit. I'm gonna leave well enough
It's
alone.
okay. Looks
You know, I tried to fix that, and I'd go zoom like that, cut my finger, blood would get all over this, and we wouldn't finish today.
You're talking more putty and all kinds.
Yeah, so now what we got to do is move it over there. We need to raise the fan up on something, turn it on high, put this on something like a Lazy Susan.
Okay, you want to run them through that or?
Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking these little tiny screens here, and we're doing this. Oh, sorry. And they're the brass etched ones, and we had a little mess up here with paint getting too thick. Gary taped them down, and the tape kind of the paint puddled behind there. So, but no problem. So what we're doing is we'll clean that up after we get these on. You can see the problem, but then most of these don't have the problem because Gary's going to go through with a fine-tooth comb, literally. In fact, that's a comb, a brush.
Boy, that might be a.
Not a metal one. But anyway, but what we're doing very simply here is attacking these, putting these wonderful little brass etched grills on here, which are exactly the same as what they had in the original Disneyland exhibit. You see, they used to have real, potentially real rocket visions of our future and stuff at Disneyland. Not imaginary science fiction ones, but oh well, that's another story, right?
Right.
And then we put that in there and hold it down just for a second, and I tell you that CA will just kick that thing right off and hold it right in place, and then I can really see where these little problems are and poke them out. It's just paint that's between the gridding there.
Would Western
See,
civilization be interested in seeing it with the lights on? Maybe.
well, let's get the last one in there.
Okay.
And hopefully, I know Scott's very good at what he does. Very good. Incredibly good at it. I still want that 11-foot Discovery. but he won't sell me a kit, so.
That is gonna fit. Right?
Hopefully that's gonna, no, it doesn't, see? That was the problem I ran into last time. So,
Oh boy.
that's why.
Is there a shorter
Well,
piece? Is that the
no, there isn't a shorter piece. So what we're going to do here, it's not very difficult. Where's the little felt pen there? And we're going to mark that just like so. If I screw it up, we have more. So, and, oh, Western civilization, yes. Let there be light.
That is a cool effect.
It is.
It really
It
looks
is.
good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, it's beauty. I mean, this is all on permanently now. These are all the LEDs underneath that it took to get that in there. And we did all of this in about 2 hours, this entire base. And it's painted about it, in only us guys who scratch build models understand these things.
Guys and gals?
Guys and gals. There are gals, not many, that build models. And, I'm drawing a blank on the very pretty lady from England who builds models. And, God darn, it's driving me nuts. I can't think of her name right now. Of course, she's on Facebook, and I haven't been there for a while. But she does beautiful work.
That's looking pretty good once we get those
Yeah.
I'll give those a going over.
Yeah. Well, that stuff really sticks down. So there we go. We got that whole framework set up, and it's a little, it's what it is, but it's
That's
fine. It's
awfully
fine.
close,
Yeah,
Close.
it is. Yeah. I'll make you a star. Anyway, I think that's pretty well done. Except Gary's got to fix the paint problem, which does fix. See, I did that one there. You see how nice it is?
Yeah.
It's because I'm basically a smart butt. But
Well, you've developed the proper technique for poking that out of there.
well, once it's in here, you can really see it.
Yeah,
You see,
exactly.
like I missed stuff there, so I can just do a little more and get it, as best you can. Because just, I mean, actually, eventually over time, that paint will just flake off.
Yeah.
But also, a toothbrush might actually just poke that stuff out real well.
Yeah, you don't want to scratch.
That's a beautiful base, and this is beautiful. This was welded for Scott, and he had it, and he sent it to us. Normally with this kit, you have to do this yourself. The gentleman that did this had a jig, which basically holds all these parts together in the right geometric shape so that you can solder them. When I did mine, I didn't have that, and it was like hair pulling time. So with mine, I actually did it out of styrene. Something I know how to deal with. But these lock in really perfect to those holes. So it's very, very, very well done. So, and thank you, Scott, so much, because I know you're watching this, for sending us this already done, because this would have taken us a day, an easy day. So, yeah, it's really cool. So, all right, Gary, well, fix the mess you made, and
I'm on it, boss.
and then I'm going to disconnect this for now so we don't have any accidents.
Right.
And we're good. I mean, all our lighting's done. The cockpit's in and covered. This is ready to paint white, which is scary. And that's the next thing I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yes. So this has really been nerve-wracking doing these. In fact, we can lose this and the noise. It's been really nerve-wracking doing this because, we just painted it today. But we used a lacquer based paint, a duplicolor automotive paint, which is very fine paint. It's it's like $10 a can, but it's worth it because it dries fast, it goes on really smooth, and then I drop the airbrush and on my toe, the last bit of red paint that we're trying to stretch out. Anyway, so what we're doing now is taking off the masking tape that we spent. How long did we spend, Gary, doing this? Hour and a half. Masking all of this. We did get a little bit of bleeding under this, which is to be expected to a degree, because this is a lot of taping. But we can easily clean that up with Neill's wonderful method of using a paper card and an airbrush bottle with white in it, and just tape. As you can see, we're getting those off. And before your eyes here, you'll get to see all the red, which is done. We think it's done. We'll know this one overlapped. There we are. And we're just being real slow because what we don't want to do is pull paint off. We need to get a little bit of ghost. Most of it rubbed off, but we will just lightly dust that tomorrow with the airbrush. So what do we do next? I guess
Debag it.
debag. Okay. We still have that tip up here to paint silver. Debag.
On this side, I'll get it.
Okay. I mean, as much as we covered this up, it's still, when you're blowing airbrushes around, they have a tendency to get up under things.
See,
The
you can
tiniest,
mask
the
it.
tiniest little crack, it'll get under.
Okay, you can probably lift that straight off.
You think so? Okay. That was very effective in keeping that, you know. I
Nothing
still
on it.
don't know how that flat spot appeared, but once we put some clear on tomorrow.
Something bled through there.
Yeah. Okay, so here it gets tricky.
Hey, you might want to take the stuff off. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, then we have to paint that silver inside. It's really hard to, once that tape sticks down, you know, you can't get it to stick down half the time. It doesn't want to stick to anything, and then when you finally get to this point,
It won't come off.
it won't come off. I'm sure we've got this. Any overspray we have, or ghosting as Gary calls it, we can easily fix. What?
Oh, that was just a little dust from the paper towel. No problem.
Good. I like things that don't have problems. Now, boy, this tape's really sticky. God, it wouldn't stick like this earlier. But I
That's
think
because
the
maybe
paint's
the
still
paint's starting
tacky.
to get,
If we left this tape on overnight,
you'd probably never get the tape.
we would get the tape off, but the paint would come with it. I can see the paint trying to lift kind of on this one.
The red
There's a
paint?
little piece that came off right there. Look at tiny infinitesimal microscopic little piece. So we are at a point where we really need to get this off. And the reason that we're doing it this way is because Gary can't be down here forever, so although we're having a great time,
A blast.
a blast, like laser blast, it will blow your mind. Okay, I think but you can see how this is working out. It's really going to be really cool. I'm going to let Gary play with that down there a bit, and I'm going to deal with this. There's a lot of little pieces of tape on here because it was the only way to get the curve. There we go. Do not take the paint with you. Not bad. Easily cleaned up tomorrow. A little trim tape. They didn't have trim tape on the real thing, so we can't do that. Too bad, though. This kind of made some marks on the red here. So we're going to have to touch that up. On this side. It's weird. There's some crinkles.
Boy, that's really stuck on there.
You know, I get it from this side.
Okay.
See, it just shouldn't stick that well. It's painter's tape. That always scares me when I see the other piece of tape underneath, and and it just lifts off, and you think, oh, I just pulled it off down to the primer, but it's just blue tape. Oh, another piece. Who did this? Oh, I did.
It was the only way to get that curve level, though, really.
Yeah, and it's still not that level, but we'll adjust that very easily tomorrow after a good night's sleep. Hey, welcome back. Day 4, and I'm here with my good friend Gary Hughes, and we've been working our butts off, literally, day in and day out, sort of. Long day stuff. We had a lot of work to do with this canopy and getting it to blend on and everything. It's always the hardest part. And we, of course, added these finally, which was a very interesting process. And basically, it's all here, except we still have to do, and I'll turn the lights off just for a second, but you'll be able to get a better look at it soon, because we have the canopy area up here taped off because we're about to do clear and decals. But you can see how cool the engine looks. There's windows in all of these. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to hook up these lights down here. So I still have to do that. We just have to lift up and do a graph job. Okay, so here we go. These are kind of crispy because they're old. Okay. Is that on there straight or is it just me?
No, it's straight.
You sure? Whew, okay, that's one. Yeah, these actually, with a mask, it kind of curved up like this a little bit, and the decals don't do that.
Right.
So there's some advantages to the decals. Okay. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Luckily, we have more of these. Should something go horribly wrong.
Ooh, you're 2 for 2.
Is that how they're really supposed to go on? Yeah, that is. Well, after doing, 852,000 Aztecs on starships from the Federation, putting on 3 decals is pretty easy. I mean, or even using Lou Del Maso's stencils in doing that is pretty amazing. That looks pretty good. Does everybody think it looks okay?
That looks very good.
Okay, we got one left to put on, and that one goes here, right there. Okay, now getting it the right height and everything. Is it right in the middle? It should be right in the middle. I think it goes down lower. Where's those pictures? Yeah, this is it, boys and girls. Wait a minute, there's this decal right here. It says align to stripe to here. Oh no, that's Scott. That's Scott. No, that's correct placement. Sports fans. Now we're going to turn on the fan here in a minute and let this dry. And the fact that they're sliding around so easy means that we've got a really nice gloss. Oh, this is on still? Okay, I'm going to turn it off. I have to, oh yeah, see it's crooked, and I wouldn't have known that till I came down here. Now it's nice and straight until I dab it and it's not. Now I could put fixative on these, but I fear doing that because they're old, and sometimes when you put Solvaset or Microsol on them, they'll crack up and do weird things. So we're just going to count our blessings here, and we're going to, there we go, a little bit of Stufus there. Got it. And when they're dry, we're going to spray a light coat of clear, acrylic clear on this. Oh, come on, baby, just get it straight. There we go. That's as straight as it gets, I think. Wow, okay. So we're going to turn the fan on here. The actual bladed fan. And hey, I've got backup decals in case one ever peels off one day. I'll run down there and patch it up for Bob. They're smoothing out with my finger. As it dries, they're staying gone. Wrinkles. It's pretty good. What's happening is there's water under there. You can see it venting out as I do that. They almost look painted on. They really do. So we have to tilt this back, and I need to look under there, and then we can light up those bottom lights down there. And so we're gonna have to be very careful, of course, and tilt this back. I would just tilt it this way. Beware of the decals.
Right.
And you got it good, don't you? Yep. Here's the 2 wires I need to hook up. So I'm gonna have to come over to here and separate this, and you're gonna be holding that for a while. I hope that's okay.
Sure, not a problem.
Because I overlooked that. I'm sorry about that. There, I'm gonna pull it out this way. That way I can get to it better. There we go. And that'll be hooked up to right about there. And it's, wow, what's this sticky stuff? That's weird. It's like there's CA under here or something.
Maybe it ran through when you.
I don't know, maybe. So that was a long time ago, though. Okay, we need to turn this back on. Is it unplugged? I bet it is.
No, it's on.
Good. Yeah, that was dumb of me. Okay. This is going to take a minute, Mary, so just a minute, though. We're all getting a little punchy at this point. It's
Yeah, but you're almost there, man.
almost there. Okay. I just stick that in my pocket, right? Heard of having a rocket in my pocket before, but that really takes the cake.
Not a soldering.
Yeah. We're waiting for the soldering iron to heat up enough that I can melt through the insulation, because I should have done this earlier. And I forgot, but it's a surefire way to do it. It won't make a fire, but it's melt the insulation off. It's tough because the insulation is designed not to melt under a lot of heat, but there we go. Got that off. And I can very easily connect those onto there. Now it's, well, in this case it should be, here we go. Turn that on. Make sure that I get this right. It's black to black and white to white, despite everything we know, because tell me if those flicker on.
You're on.
They are? Oh, yes. Okay, so I mean, that's okay. So I'm just making sure I'm doing this right. Oh, where's the helping hands when I need them? There they are. They're your own. Oh, that burns nice. My flesh, that is. Really? Did that happen? You know, after all this stuff we've done, soldering 2 little wires together can be the most annoying thing in the world. Well, maybe not exactly the most annoying. I can think of other things that are far more annoying than wires, hooking these 2 guys up.
You have ignition.
All right. Oh, God, that burned. The wire got very hot. I was holding it, and it was dumb. Okay, so turning this off and putting this over here. Now what I want to do is, the hot glue gun got put away, right? Because I was going to use that to do insulation with. But can you plug that?
I can.
You can set it down for now, because we're going to have to wait on this to get.
It's not going to hurt anything resting on.
No, I don't. Well, I'll turn it off to make sure.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, super fast insulation, hot glue. And the dust off, of course, is over there, and we can't get to it, so we'll be stuck here waiting for this. I could have used liquid tape, George, because I know George is going to see this because this one is free. I'm gonna become a member of Patreon. He keeps saying so. Just get my shop set up first. Okay, so here we are, all lit up with these lights, which I overlooked. Aren't they cool? We still have to undo this, but I'm going to do the clear next. But I thought it was very important to show how cool that looks with the engines lit up and the light shining up on it like it did when I was at Disneyland. It's very, very cool. So, in fact, I'm going to... Wow, it's so cool. Love letters for Bob. Okay, so we're going to turn that off, turn the lights back on, and we're going to put the clear on. And I do believe that brings us to a close. So here we are at almost 8 o'clock on Friday, 4 days, right? Officially 4 days.
Long days.
Thank you to Tom Piedmont, who couldn't be here, and we couldn't have got this done without him. This is the finished model. I know what you're thinking. It's dark. Why can't we see it? Well, I wanted to light it up so you could really see it, how it looks in the dark. I mean, it's amazing. The canopy, everything. Mary will go around here and shoot. Mine used to light up like this, and the LEDs all died, so I got to redo mine. But I think you'll agree that this really came out quite well. Let me know when you think you got enough, Mary. It's been an amazing project doing this and working with Gary, who I've never got to meet in person, and so we've known each other for going on 6 years, and we finally meet in person by immediately jumping into making a model. And he's been staying at our house. We've been having a wonderful time and doing this for Bob, who we love so much. When I heard Bob, how much he cared about this model, I just had to make sure he got one. And Gary agreed me.
Yeah, completely worth it. It was well worth the effort to have something to give him that he would enjoy so much.
Yeah, whenever he sees this, he'll remember what a pain in the butt we've always been.
That's right, man.
I'm going to turn this light on. Oh, geez. Oh, there's Gary. Oh, but you can see how it shines now. I'm going to walk over here and turn the house lights on so you can see it in the light. And now you got two of them. I've never seen two before, except in the picture that Bob sent me, which was a stereo picture taken at the time, back in the day. So... even with the lights on, you can still see the engine glow and the lights down below. It's pretty darn cool. So, well, I'll walk back over here. So, Gary, what do you think?
I think it was fabulous. Well done, man.
No, really, thank you so much, my friend.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it.
Now, let's go out and get drunk and paint the town red and eat stuff. Do you think we earned it? Well, maybe we won't get drunk, but we might have a couple of shots.
Yeah. Okay, you talked me into it.
Okay, great. And thank you so much, Scott Alexander, for making this kit available to us and Bob and supplying us with the decals that didn't crack and chip and making the extra brass parts and everything you did. It is so greatly appreciated. And if you want one of these models, and I know you're going to want one because I know Gary wants one now.
Absolutely.
You need to talk to Scott Alexander at Atomic City, right?
Yeah.
And tell him I sent you, and because I know he makes these kits, or he made the kits, but he can certainly hook you up with one. I forget what the status is, but he hooked us up with this one. So thank you, Scott Alexander. Is there anybody else we forgot to thank? We thank Tom. Thank you, Mary.
Mary.
Thank you, Mary, for
Our hero.
our being behind the camera the whole time.
And
we still
figuring out a solution on
Oh yes, we got a nice clean bottom on this that won't snag on anything,
Protect the wire.
because it was her idea to put a piece of styrene underneath it, cut it around it, and glue it down, which seals the bottom. Tomorrow we will be going to Bob's to deliver this, and that's going to be amazing. And you'll be right there with us. Well, here we are. We've actually arrived to meet Bob Burns in person and deliver him this model we've worked on for the last 4 days, and we got it here by hook or by crook. It was absolutely insane coming down the freeway. People were cutting in front of me. We almost got in a car accident. I'm not making this up. We ended up in the emergency lane, but we got here, and so I'm a little hyper and nervous right now and shaking
I'm
and
really
stuff.
sorry that Bob couldn't be here. But,
I know.
This is the clone. I'm the
This
clone.
is the
And
clone.
sometimes it doesn't work too good, but it's okay. Everything's fine.
Good.
But I've got to tell you guys, that has put my soul back together.
Oh, good.
That has put my soul back together. I got to tell you, that the memories I have of Disneyland, and when we first saw this, when we got there, it just blew my mind. I mean, literally, it's so tall, so big.
I know.
First rocket thing.
80 feet.
Our kind of rocket. That I
Our
ever
kind of
saw.
rocket.
That's right.
That's right. And now we could actually make rockets like this today,
Sure you
have them
could.
take off vertically and land.
Isn't that
Vertically.
thing? I can't believe that.
I
I've seen
know.
that footage of those things. And that's just like, oh my God,
I
the
know.
dreams come true, man.
It did.
This is destination.
So where did it come from?
I know.
Came from us. And the vision
You
we
always
had,
better
the
believe
belief
it.
we
That
had
is where
that
it
that
goes.
would
That's
happen.
right.
Well, a lot of the astronauts were fans like we were.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and that it's just so cool. I don't know, but this I can't thank you guys enough for this. It's spun my whole brain. I mean, it's so cool. I see that, and all the times going to Disneyland. Like I said, there are two things that we did. We went there, and then the Disney exhibit of Nautilus. From
The Nautilus, that was the best.
The guy got so used to seeing us when we got out there, he didn't need that. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on, take your camera and get pictures. I don't care, whatever you want to do, you know. But that was, when they tore that down, or I don't know, when it left anyway.
What was it, 65?
Something like
Somewhere
that.
in there,
Taking
yeah.
the Douglas thing first. And it just didn't look right.
No,
Big Douglas on it
No.
somehow. I mean, this is the only way it looks right, you know.
that's true.
But that, God, the lighting in there, I have no idea how you did that flame thing. That is the most original thing I've ever seen in my life.
We took one of my dog's pillows, and it had fiberfill in it. We pulled that out and stuck it. That's all it is fiberfill.
Yeah, but it's the way it's done, though. I mean, there's no edges.
That's
to it.
Rosie's touch, so.
There's no edges to it.
No,
It's just
well, you
there
can
it
make
is.
all kinds of plumes and stuff using fiberfill, cotton,
Yeah, but
and LEDs. So, of course, the original one didn't have that, but it
Yeah.
did have that same base, that same
Yeah.
railing. I hung over it many
Oh, yeah.
times, and
Oh,
the
you
lights
do.
down there.
Yeah.
Well, I was only 6 or 7 years old when my
Yeah.
dad took me to see this. And
Unfortunately,
it,
I was a little older.
little older, but it absolutely, completely changed my life.
Yeah.
And then he took me over to see the Nautilus exhibit, and I'd already seen the movie as a child.
Yeah.
And of course, nothing would do that I
Wasn't
didn't.
that great, though?
I know, and we both have Nautiluses as well.
Yeah.
Because I have one of these too, which is how you saw it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we both have a Nautilus, and I don't know if you've seen the video of my Nautilus diving and surfacing
Yes,
and everything.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was a childhood dream come true right there.
So, I mean, the way that baby went under.
Right?
Everything's out of the closet.
It comes-
Yeah, just like it's supposed to. And that's the only model that Mary, will never let me sell. And I joke about it. I said, well, I'm going to sell this and go get a sports car. And no, you do not sell that model.
You know what would happen? She would sell you.
Yeah,
She
maybe.
would sell that model, you know. It's about it. As Kathy said about me with the time machine. I said, I'm going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
She says,
Piece of
No,
junk
you
hanging
won't.
around.
you know. And she started putting me on eBay. Nobody bought me, though.
No?
No.
I'm surprised. I didn't even know that
They all
about that. I
thought
might
it
have
was
bought it.
fake. You know, I don't know, but I just can't tell you guys what I think of that. It's
Well, you needed to have it. When I heard that you had been promised
Oh,
a
yeah.
model kit, and you told me how much it meant to you, and
Oh, God.
Kathy told me about your first date there.
Yeah.
And I immediately related because as a child, my dad took me to Disneyland every year
Yeah.
for a while, and I would always run over to that and just stand there and
Well,
stare at it. I would
We're gonna
project
marry
myself
over there.
up into here, and I always wondered, was there a cockpit up there?
I
Because you
know,
couldn't
me
see.
too.
And so this has windows too. We put in little. I took brass and I hammered it and punched out little
kidding.
little plastic windows. We drilled this out and we sank these in.
So
Yeah.
absolutely.
So and Tom Piedmont
We're
also.
gonna get a table made for this.
Right, are you?
I'm gonna get a space.
This gets a special spot, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's where it's going. And
Where nobody can
we're gonna
walk
build a
into
special, or have it one built, some space, I mean, 50s, the
Right,
whole thing.
right. Also, Tom Piedmont, who's known as Model Man, Tom's
Yeah.
old friend of ours, he
Sure.
came for 2 days, and we couldn't have got this done in the time that we had Gary down here to do this. So, and Gary worked day in and day out
We all,
on this.
You know,
We
he's
just
pretty
had the best
He's
time.
pretty fair at this stuff.
Yeah, he's
You
pretty
know?
darn good. Well, I noticed that because I saw a few of the monster kit models he built, and I went, God darn it, this guy's good. Plus, I really liked the X1 he had on the back of the old truck. So we thought we'd take a little quick cruise around here and show you some of the things that's at Bob's museum that people have given him and he's acquired over the years. I believe this is from Plan 9 from space. The Ed Wood movie, the infamous Ed Wood movie. And this is a Mighty Joe Young, not to be confused with King Kong, both done by Willis O'Brien. Of course, everybody knows Popeye. I'm not sure where this came from. There's a lot of things here that also come from fans that have made for Bob, but a lot of them are actually the real things too. Like the robot monster head, which went on the gorilla suit. Of course, this you see here, this came from Terminator 2, I believe, and everybody knows this. This is beautiful, this suit. This is the Creature of the Black Lagoon, one of my very favorite creatures. That, of course, is from The Fly. That's a Chris Wallace creation. Over here, we've got all kinds of cool.
I know, but look at this.
Oh, I know, but
Turn around.
well, this is this the same size as ours?
No.
Is it bigger? No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it is. Is it? I don't think it is. This is the one that Tom Sherman made, and I don't know who finally finished it for Bob, but it's gorgeous. They finished it. Now, what's the length on this?
The Nautilus.
Yeah, because ours is about this size, but and this
My 11-footer over there now he's gonna try to finish. The one that Tom started years ago,
right.
he never got to finish it.
I think this is the 66-inch, Mary. Yeah, I think it is.
I love that footage, Steve, of your Nautilus.
Yeah, it's about the same size as this one. It's quite a handful to carry around. And this ball here, these are really amazing. I don't know if it's lit up right now, but it lights up inside and the squid's in there. And what's the big saucer hanging over our head?
It's from Davy Stood Still.
Oh, it is. Oh, that's right, because they modified it for
we put it for Voyage to
Boy the Bottom of the Sea, but that's the Day the Earth Stood Still flying saucer.
It's used in two scenes, and it's one, they only built it half, the big full-size one, but they did a hanging miniature of it. When Klaatu's coming down, you see kind of the other side of it, and at the end, it's the one that lifts off. And takes
Right.
off and goes up to space. That's it.
That's one of the flying submodels. I had two of them in my possession for a while, and then
This is the one that the Lydeckers really, when it came out of the water or went in the water, it was this one.
Wow.
Greg Jean gave me that.
and he got it originally, I believe, from Ricky Schwartz.
My dad. Yeah.
This I'm not sure about,
What's that?
but this is from Enemy Mine,
Yep.
and it's a Chris Wallace. He's a hell of a talented guy. But you want to walk back over this way, and again, because right here are some really important things that are often overlooked.
They're all foamy.
Yeah.
They're all made out of butter.
We've got some Jim Danforth puppets in here that were from Seven Faces of Dr. Lau. Am I correct?
Yep.
And these are the stages of the Loch Ness monster in Seven Faces of Dr. Lau. There's a King Kong sculpture here, bust. That's what the original one looked like. And a lot of cool stop motion pieces you don't often see. These puppets are in amazingly good condition considering how old they are, made in the 60s. But back around over here, Mary. And there's so much stuff here I could go on about forever. This is, of course, from American Werewolf in London. And as we come around here, I think this is the original King Kong stop motion armature. And of course, over here, without further ado, is the original Time Machine, which was found, and Tom Sherman and Bob and a whole bunch of other people restored it back to its original condition. There's the key, which I believe, I don't know if that's the original one or the one that's in it's the original one. But this is the original Time Machine, and it does light up and still work. And it's just an amazing thing. You want to touch it just so you can say I was there. I mean, that is the original Time Machine, which is probably one of the most amazing pieces there is here. And that's just me. Lots of stuff from Gremlins, some of the underskulls and things. Just so much stuff. I don't even know, where to begin. And this character here is the Man from Planet X, which I loved. I love that movie. And that's what the mask was. I think that might be the original. I'm not sure. And this is Octoman that Rick Baker did. There's some old Rick Baker masks in here. Some from Star Wars. They were actually used in Star Wars. More of them down there. So there's just tons of stuff. So enough. You get in there. I mean, this man right here came all the way down from Fresno.
Elk Grove.
Well, close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I said, hey, we're going to build this model for Bob. You think you'd like to come down and we'll make a 2-day build out of it, which became a 4-day build, and we could and then take it over to Bob and give him the model that he's been talking about. And he just came right down, just like that.
Yeah. Would not have missed that for anything.
No, it was a great time together.
Old guy's heart feel pretty good. You know that?
Isn't it a beauty?
It is.
It's one of my favorite rocket models,
Oh,
period.
mine
I've got a big old Saturn V about as tall as Mary, but this is better.
Yeah.
Now, Scott Alexander, of course, Captain Cardboard, he's got many names. Atomic City? Atomic City models.
Yeah.
He was right there for us the whole
that's
time
great. I'm glad
by
to hear that.
phone call and email, and sent backup parts, sent us extra decals, made new brass pieces down, sent the whole kit,
Well, that's
and added all the extras that really made it really the model it is, because that's got the brass canopy. There were other versions that had, I think, a vacuum form one, and so Scott Alexander at Atomic City was.
Well, that's great.
Wasn't for him, we wouldn't have
I
that
really
sitting there.
appreciate it.
Now he tells me, and I don't know if he wants the fans to know about this or not, but he's working on an 80-inch one.
Oh my God! Holy
That's
So
gonna
we'll see what happens
That's
with
the kind you put in
that.
your front yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that is just so cool. Well, you guys haven't been over here in such a long time.
No.
Take a tour, look around.
Okay.
I mean, there's stuff, thanks to Pat McClung and Kathy, you can walk around, right around. You didn't used to be able to walk in here at all.
Right.
It's just, I'll tell you something. Just don't get old. Just refuse.
I'm
If I'd
trying
known
to.
where it was heading.
It's
Old physically, but never mentally.
Well, of course, I've talked about many times how we first met, and I talked about it at the beginning of this video that you'll eventually see. And we said all kinds of things about you and told some of the jokes you told, and we did. We
My
talked.
God, you didn't put
Well,
that
we
on
worked
tape.
on
Whoa.
Mac Tonight, remember, and
Oh, man, I love those.
with that Doug Jones guy, and
They were so
and then
much
we had
fun.
Petunia. Remember Petunia?
Yes.
Well, I didn't tell the
Petunia.
joke to the fans, but we talked about the joke. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
something
my
about
God.
that and a fire
It's-
hydrant. I don't remember, but
It's so cool, but it was all the Smack Tonight things were. There's a couple of them we had trouble with some of the.
yeah, but
agency
overall,
people, but overall, man,
it's
they
fine,
were
and they paid
great.
well, and the residuals
And
were
to think
nice.
for
and-
Doug's gone today from doing that,
yeah,
wow.
I know. Well,
He's
his
working all
first
the time.
job was
Yeah.
the Pamela Talking Doll
Right.
commercial with where he played the aliens with the big eyes.
Yeah.
That I did on him, and so that was his first job, and it just went from there.
Boy,
So.
I still remember him being up right by the ceiling on
Yeah.
that big, what was it, big thing? I forget what they even call it, but the piano up there.
Right.
And he's hot and everything
Yeah.
else, you know. And he was so great.
Well, they wanted to fire him, remember?
Yeah.
Because they thought he was too arrogant. He's
Yeah.
always, because he was always asking. He called him a prima donna. He's asking for water too much.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Good
So
God.
we all read them the riot act, and he stayed in that job till the bitter end. So,
I know, but
because
he
we
was-
didn't want to work with anybody else.
no.
The guy
no
was a
way.
kind gentleman, and he still is.
Water, I mean, geez. When you work in suits, you got to have water.
Yeah,
we
that's
know
true.
that.
He got a lot of water in his last job.
Yeah, more than he probably wanted, I'm sure. You know, but he's a wonderful guy. He
he's-
hasn't changed a bit either.
No, he's
Just
still the
like
same
him.
warm,
I used to
wonderful
pull
guy.
that gag on him though,
Right.
Because once in a while he'd be up there, he'd start to talk, and I'd mimic what he was talking about, and he
Right.
says, "Quit that, quit it!" You know? So then I'd close his mouth on him; he couldn't see. You know?
Right, right. Oh,
And so-
that's right, exactly.
It was so
Because you
much fun.
had the mouth. So.
Yes, and it was so much fun because he'd say, "Hey, what? Don't go." And he was a very funny guy, but
Yeah,
no,
he is.
they were really fun. I enjoyed those as much as anything I've ever done. You know.
Yeah, me
It
too.
was
Those
just
were
cool.
really,
It
really,
was just-
really a nice time.
And God, they ran forever.
They did. I mean, how many years? At least 5 years we
Oh,
did
yeah,
those
I
things
think
or
so.
more.
And it was just I don't know, something about it. It just had such a special.
And we
feeling.
spent every Christmas together during that time, as I
Yes, we
recall.
did.
So, and
Yes,
Jilly.
we did.
And well, I did talk about how we first met, though, and of course you remember that, don't you? It was Equicon, and Dave Ayers and I came out in our gorilla suits, and you
yeah.
were in Tracy, and I didn't know you were down there because it was all
Right.
dark down
Oh,
there. And
yeah.
all of a sudden, this big gorilla with a beanie on leaped up on stage and just started going to town on Dave and me and doing the
Picking
grooming.
stuff out
Yeah,
of me.
that's
Yeah.
how we met, and we went out to dinner and stuff, and that's how we met.
That's how it started,
And I got
right
sick
there.
the next day because that was the first time I wore a suit that long,
Yeah.
and I got straight out of it and into the cold because I was so
Oh,
overheated,
boy.
and I got a terrible cold.
Yep.
So
Oh,
really
I
bad.
know.
And wore the 6-finger makeup the same day
Yeah.
with 100 and something
Jeez,
temperature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all you needed.
That's
What almost
dedication.
killed me was doing Magic Mountain at that time it opened. It was like 106 degrees out there, right during the summer, and God, I almost fell over two or
In
three
the
times.
suit?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a traveling thing.
Yeah.
I'm in this cage, and this
Right, right.
trainer gives all this milio stuff about how he's going to do tricks for you, and all he does is get out and scare people.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was I had so much fun. I think I probably had more fun doing the gorilla.
How
than
can
anything
you
I've ever
not
done.
have fun being in a gorilla suit?
I don't know.
Especially
I
one
can't
that
figure
looks
that out.
sort of realistic and people. I mean, if you like to scare people and play practical jokes on people, and I know you do, there's no better, there's no better
would
way to
never do
do it
that.
than in a monster suit of some kind. But a gorilla is really the best.
Oh yeah.
I just love the
Well,
gorilla.
it's real.
So.
The Frankenstein monster.
So
is not
real that people would leave their kids.
Yeah, they
Run
scream.
away from their children.
Yeah,
they
Julie
run
would
away
put
from
me
their
out on a
children out of
porch.
Magic Mountain. They'd run like crazy, and then
Leave the kids
he's
behind.
going, it's pretty funny. But, we had a lot of fun doing that thing. But, and then we did that thing with those kids. Remember that thing that we did? What was that? It was there's that family. He adopted those girls, and they're supposed to be out in the costumes, and it's really us. running around.
Oh,
I can't think of what it's called.
was that Rag to Riches?
That's it.
That was it.
That's the one. Yep.
With Bologna was in it, and we
That's
had
right.
Dale Parks, and
Yep.
bless his heart.
Yeah,
what a sweet
he just
guy.
went a while back.
I
You
know.
It's real funny. In fact, he was at when we were at the Republic thing.
Yeah.
He was playing Gabby Hayes then,
Oh really?
and he was great at it. Oh, he
Yeah,
was so great.
yeah.
Well, he was another gorilla guy that we met,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a delightful guy. The
Really,
suit wasn't
really.
the best, but he put the body English, made it work.
Oh yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And we three of us were in this thing, supposedly being these girls running around. Of course, it's really us, And
Mm-hmm.
I chased them, I guess, the bride and groom or something.
Into
I
the
chased
pool
them
or
into
something.
the pool.
Yeah,
and
that's
all that
it. I
kind of stuff,
remember.
And that was.
Well, I have pictures from that still
Yep.
of you and I that Jilly took on the lawn, and we're
Oh,
grooming each other.
Yep.
And then I have pictures of us, all three of us sitting there with their heads off and black rings around our eyes.
you.
And I had a shirt on that said, "I'm the gorilla."
Yeah.
know? And
Well, somebody
and you're
had to
giving
know.
you're
I
giving
mean-
the camera a dirty. You're always giving the camera a dirty look because you were kidding around, but you what are you
Oh,
looking at? Jilly,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well,
So-
we were serious.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So
But it was so.
That was a
fun
real
with that
great
stuff,
time,
though.
too,
It was,
so.
it was really cool, And when we did some of those Tonight's back in where the heck was it?
Boston.
Back east, huh?
Oh, Boston.
That's it.
Yeah.
No,
And we
that
got
was
drunk
great.
and walked around town after that.
I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I sort
yeah.
of remember it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Had some real good chowder, as I recall, too.
That's right. That's right.
Ooh,
That's
that was
right.
good stuff, you know.
Thank you so much, Bob, and for allowing us to do this for you and bring it over and
thank
all
you.
that.
Absolutely.
And we
I
made.
mean, you two guys, there's something wrong with you guys. But
Yeah,
that's
well,
all
that goes
you've
without
always known
saying.
that.
I mean, for,
You've
you know,
always
'cause
known that.
Normal
so.
people wouldn't do that.
Well, that's a good thing.
We're not normal people.
No.
No.
Well, that's
Normal people scare me.
They're overrated.
That's what the T-shirt
Terrifying.
says. So,
Yeah.
so that's it.
Wow.
We did it. We got it here in one piece.
It did
Nobody
great.
drove into it. I hope you enjoyed this journey that you've taken with us through the build and coming all the way here
Does
to
he
see
ever use
Bob.
a script or anything? Or is it
No,
just what
it's
he
all
does?
ad-lib.
He just does that?
I learned from Adam Savage.
It's only as much as he can write on his hand. The rest
Oh,
he has to
yeah,
ad-lib.
that's true. Yeah, I've done. Well, I used to do that, and I can't do it anymore.
These
This
guys are
guy
going to
can
keep
do it.
talking.